Melanie Martinez. Does this name say anything to you? Well, if you had unrestricted access to the internet since the age of 11, chances are you, like many other teenagers, stumbled upon this very unusual artist with split-dyed hair and haunted doll aesthetic. It seems like ever since Melanie Martinez became popular, everyone just went absolutely crazy. People started copying her hair, her makeup, her aesthetic. People became obsessed with this new artist. You definitely heard some of her songs. For example, Playdate from the famous Timothy Chalamet edit, or Teacher's Pet, Dollhouse, Soap. What I'm trying to say is, even if you don't know who Melanie Martinez is, I'm 100% sure you know some of her songs. You may also know that her most recent album, Portals, shocked everyone because she started dressing up as this weird pink creature, and her own fans couldn't see her face at all. Or you may also know that Melanie Martinez has a lot of controversy. And it's like every single day there are new discussions about her controversy all over the internet. The controversy just never stops. But this time, everything is different. Because this time, even her biggest fans turn their backs on her. This time, we will talk about everything. Things that she was lying about to her fans for years, her relationship drama, and things that no one has ever brought up before. It's gonna be one hell of a ride. So, what did Melanie Martinez do this time to disappoint all of her fans? And what was she lying about? Let's talk about it. Hi! Don't mind this in the background, I'm actually babysitting a fish right now. As always, before we start, I would just like to say that I do not try to promote hate towards anyone that I will mention today in this video. And I think it's important to mention that I myself have been a fan of Melanie since I was 10 years old, but I eventually stopped supporting her long time ago. So yes, I do know a lot about her. And while we're at it, can you please subscribe to my channel if you like me? We just hit 30,000 subscribers and I'm so happy. Thank you so much guys for following me. Mwah. Okay, now let's start. So, if you don't know, the entire drama that's unfolding right now on TikTok at this current moment is surrounding Melanie Martinez and her ex-boyfriend Verde. You see, this couple have been dating for over 3 years, and just a few weeks ago, they broke up. Melanie unfollowed Verde everywhere and people started suspecting things, so she replied to a comment saying that yes, her and Verde have been broken up for a while now, and she just didn't want to make a big deal of it, that they wish each other well, and asking for her fans to just move on from this. People break up all the time, so why is it suddenly such a big deal to everyone? Well, Verde reposted the comment that Melanie made on his Instagram story, and turns out they did not break up on very good terms. On the Instagram story, he said this. This is Cap, by the way. She got a new boyfriend less than a month after us breaking up. And that there's no wishing well from her part, from having her management reach out to me to say that I can't sell my books, to her not allowing me to see my dogs. Love her always though, and I get it. Do whatever you need to do to get over it. We're just humans. Never cheated on her either. Wow, that took a turn. So while Melanie is over here saying, hey guys, nothing happened, don't make a big deal out of it, we wish each other well, her ex-boyfriend on Instagram saying that actually no, it is not well. He says that Melanie tries to limit his actions through her management and for some reason doesn't let him sell his books or see his dogs. If you didn't know, Verde and Melanie, they have two dogs named Peanut and Banana. I don't know who do they actually belong to or do they co-parent them, but regardless, the fact stays that Melanie doesn't let Verde see the dogs. And of course, right now, that does not sound like a breakup on good terms. But the most important part of this entire message is Verde claiming that Melanie got a new boyfriend less than a month ago after they broke up, and also adding the fact that he never cheated on her either. What does this mean? Why is he saying that he never cheated on her? Like, why? This statement led for fans to speculate that Melanie was cheating on Verde with her new boyfriend. That's what people got from those Instagram stories, and that's what people believe happened. Because Melanie actually suddenly started posting pictures with this Australian actor named Mojin Area. I don't know how to pronounce that. But soon enough, they announced their relationship publicly. There's pictures of them kissing and being a couple and multiple videos already. And the funniest part about this is that Melanie Martinez fans already made edits of them. Already. I wish people made edits of me like this. So what do we get from all of this drama? People now consider Melanie Martinez a cheater, or at least not a very good partner, because how can you already move on in less than a month? Like, how are you already hard launching another relationship after just breaking up with someone you dated for 3 years? That's insane. And in response to the allegation of being a cheater, Melanie Martinez did, can you guess what she did? Posted a tour of her $1 million house. Yes, you heard that right. Melanie Martinez posted a 1 minute long video showing off her house. I don't know if it's new, I don't know if it's old, but she just showing what's inside of it, what she bought, furniture, her arts and crafts, whatever, instead of addressing any concerns from her fans.
Hello, welcome to my house tour. I love organic shapes, pastel colors, fun pottery, and generally, lots of natural light. So when I designed this house, I wanted to keep in mind all of my favorite things. I've always been a homebody, and my Saturn return is in the 4th house, which represents home. So it's really important for me to have a safe haven where I can be inspired and spend most of my time creating. The last house that I was in for 6 years was very spooky and haunted, and as much as I love befriending spirits, it was really nice to find a new home with very clean and peaceful energy. Although it looked very different before and has gone through so many changes, I knew that this house had the perfect bones for me, and I'm excited to see what changes come next.
Of course, she doesn't have to. She doesn't owe anyone any explanation. But by this point of the video, you might be sitting here and thinking, wow, so why is it such a big deal? Why are we even talking about this? Like what? And you'll be absolutely right, because this entire relationship drama is absolute nonsense. It does not matter at all. As much as I don't support cheaters, we don't have any actual proof that Melanie did cheat on Verde with this guy. And Verde didn't even say that she cheated on him explicitly. People just made a speculation, an assumption that she's a cheater and just went with it. Plus, sometimes people do really move on fast, because by the time the relationship ends, they already detach themselves from their partner and they have been prepared for the breakup. Not saying it's a good thing and I support it, but actually, someone else's relationship is none of our business. And maybe instead of arguing on social media and posting those Instagram stories, Melanie and Werder should just talk to each other. But oh my god, Melanie Martinez fans went crazy over this. I need you to understand, before we go any further into the video, this relationship drama and the potential allegation that Melanie Martinez is a cheater was the only reason some of her fans stopped supporting her completely. So let me explain. Those fans did not give a fuck that Melanie Martinez has SA allegations, multiple SA allegations, that she has been lying about being in debt for over 2 years. And the fact that she literally has inappropriate depiction of a child in her coloring book, and multiple other issues with her merchandise, and so much more. The only thing that disappointed Melanie Martinez fans was the possibility, an assumption, that Melanie Martinez is a cheater. Wow, seriously? So let's go over each controversy of Melanie Martinez that her fans have been ignoring for years and decades, and even enabling until this recent drama. Yes, you heard that right. Melanie Martinez has multiple allegations from multiple people that she SA'd them. Not to even mention that one of those allegations literally comes from her ex-best friend, Timothy Heller. You see, Timothy and Melanie used to be very great friends. There's a lot of pictures and videos of them hanging out together. They were always together. But in 2017, Timothy Hiller came out on Twitter and decided to join a movement called Me Too for the victims of SA to speak up on social media. And she decided to tell the story of SA that happened to her. It's a lot to read, it's a very long story, and I really want for you guys to go ahead and read the whole thing, but just for the video, I will summarize the key points and will tell you the short version of it. Timothy begins by saying that she cannot believe that she was assaulted by her best friend, who she still loves, and that she was telling the story to her friends as a joke, but got concerned responses instead, which made her realize what truly happened to her. She says she is scared, terrified to share this with the world because of who her best friend is. She claims that Melanie took her in and helped her, and her life started to revolve around the singer. She mentions the dynamic between Melanie and her fans and how to them she cannot do wrong because she is different and she just gets it. And so Timothy says that when she needed help while dealing with problems in her life, Melanie made her feel guilty for struggling mentally. For example, one time she had to apologize for a panic attack because it ruined Melanie's night, and it happened multiple times before. She felt like she became a problem, not a person. There was codependency in the friendship where it was all based around Melanie, and the singer had a lot of power over Timothy. Timothy admits that she had a hard time saying no to her. And so the story goes that one night Melanie started asking endless questions about Timothy's sexual preferences, and Timothy has been already a victim of abuse in her life, and it was obviously very difficult to have a conversation about this subject for her and made her feel very uncomfortable. But because Melanie was her best friend, she tried to be open about it. Timothy had to get up very early in the morning for work. While they were laying in bed, Melanie asked Timothy if she would ever sleep with her. Timothy had a boyfriend at the time and tried to laugh it off, but Melanie just kept asking and demanding why not. Timothy repeatedly said no to her request. She had to work in the morning and just wanted to sleep. She found Melanie's behavior strange, but she brushed it off because they were best friends. The next day, Melanie was not giving up. Timothy was tired. Melanie convinced her to smoke grass with her, and because Timothy always had a hard time saying no to her best friend, she agreed to do so, because maybe it would help her to fall asleep and avoid whatever was happening. But the same conversation began to happen. Melanie tried to convince Timothy to sleep with her by saying that it would be fun and feel good. Timothy said every form of no that she could think of, like the fact that she had a boyfriend, that she needs to sleep, and that she has to work in the morning. As she was laying in bed, praying to fall asleep, Melanie began touching her arm. Timothy couldn't help but giggle and say that it tickled. She didn't want to make it sexual in any way. Melanie began bartering with Timothy and asking for permission to do more. All that Timothy wanted at the moment was to fall asleep. Timothy was so confused and annoyed and tired she allowed for Melanie to touch her chest, which led to Melanie doing way more than that and violating Timothy without her permission. Timothy continues to say that she never said yes. She said no repeatedly. She was just laying there in shock, not reciprocating anything. Timothy said no for 2 nights straight. Melanie knew that Timothy didn't want it and made it very clear. Timothy didn't resist during the action and didn't scream and did not force the singer off of her for 2 reasons. Because she loved Melanie and because she just wanted for whatever was happening to be over. Their friendship grew apart since then, and Melanie and Timothy never discussed what happened that night, although it completely ruined Timothy. She ends it all by saying, "I'm not sure how to end the story. I'm terrified of the response I'm going to get. The only reason I do this now is because I'm hoping because of recent events, people will believe me. If you begin to doubt the abuse taking place in the story, I beg you to imagine her role in this being a man. Girls can assault girls, best friends can assault best friends, friendship does not equal consent, silence does not equal consent. I wish it wasn't so hard for me to convince myself of these things." Not a single time in this entire long story she mentioned her assaulter by name. And only after she added her name in the end, after that, all hell broke loose. Melanie Martinez fans just couldn't believe that the artist that they support could do such evil things. People started burning their merch, breaking the vinyls, burning t-shirts. People started getting rid of Melanie Martinez merchandise, and there's like a bunch of videos of fans just destroying their belongings. Eventually, all this news reached Melanie, And this is what she said in response to Timothy's statement. I am horrified and saddened by the statements and story told tonight by Timothy Heller. What she and I shared was a close friendship for a period of time. We came into each other's lives as we were both starting our careers as artists, and we tried to help each other. We both had pain in dealing with our individual demons and the new paths we were forging, but I truly felt we were trying to lift each other up. She never said no to what we chose to do together, and although we parted ways, I am sending her love and light always. And for some reason, just saying she never said no was enough of a reason for people to believe that Melanie is completely innocent and that it was all consensual. Not saying no doesn't mean saying yes. But with this tweet, Melanie Martinez literally confirmed, though, that the sleepover, this entire situation did happen. She just said that Timothy did consent to it. I want for you to remember this. She literally confirmed that this sleepover happened and it actually happened. But then, as Timothy started going on different interviews and continued to clarify details in her story, she made some statements that do not align with evidence and with other things. So the fans watched those interviews and picked up on those mistakes that she said. People started comparing the dates, people started comparing Melanie's hair, people started comparing the proofs and actual things. People were comparing everything and finding out the holes in the story. Some fans made it their mission to prove that entire story of Timothy is a lie. And these loopholes were enough to convince majority of the fans that Timothy is just a liar. Basically, fans were doing everything they can in this world to try and prove that Timothy's story is a complete and utter lie. And Melanie saw that her fans are doing all of this, so she posted another statement. I understand how hard it could be to see my side of the story, considering no one with a heart would want to invalidate anyone speaking up about this topic. I want to thank my fans who took the time to research the timeline, analyze past Instagram posts, and question the story being told, which reveal her false statements. I trusted so many people in my life who took advantage of that trust for their own personal gain. Please know that my intentions with everything that I do in my life are always pure, and I would never be intimate with someone without their absolute consent. In this response, she actually thanks her fans for exposing false information in Timothy's statement. What she meant by this is that Timothy's story had some holes, had some misinterpretations in it, and she thanked the fans for finding them out and, eventually proving that she's a liar. However, Melanie Martinez fans took it as a proof as if her entire story is a lie. Like that sleepover just never happened. I thought Melanie is saying that the whole story is just false information, is just a lie. Do not believe it. Thank you guys so much for exposing it. And I just went with it. And even though in Melanie's first statement, she literally says that yes, this situation did happen, except Timothy consented, right now, fans literally dismiss this entire statement and are claiming that Timothy lied about the entire story and they never met that night. It didn't help that this same month that this controversy happened, Melanie Martinez announced a new song, a single called Piggyback, and officially released it on SoundCloud only. And Piggyback contained lyrics slightly hinting at the fact that Timothy Heller is a liar who took advantage of Melanie for clout and fame, which was kind of a confirmation to her fans that Timothy Heller is a complete liar who just said the story just to get famous. So, since people found the confirmation that Timothy's entire story is a lie allegedly, Melanie Martinez fans started bullying Timothy of the internet, doxing her, ruining her job, ruining her every single project, her every single video and post on Instagram, and ruining her mental health. People were sending so much hate towards her, even going as far as faking a screenshot where Timothy allegedly claims that the entire story was a lie and she lied for clout, like actually pretending to be her and saying words as if she said them. Even though that Instagram story was a completely fake, it was so fake. And since there were some like very weird statements in the story, Timothy tried to prove them, Timothy tried to talk about it, but people tried to silence her in any possible way. But years later, in 2024, Timothy Hiller came out once again on TikTok and posted a very long video discussing all the misconceptions, all the false information that was spread about her, and saying her story once again, explaining every single detail that fans found suspicious or weird or that didn't align with anything. Despite the fact that probably people would just start bullying her again, people would just dox her again and ruin every opportunity for her, she still decided to go on the internet once again and speak up once again and to live to her story.
Speaking out against my abuser ruined my life, and I'd like to talk to you about it. I'm gonna be reading something I wrote. It's not particularly well written, but I just needed to collect my thoughts. Whether you know who I am or not, I ask you to please listen to my story. If you do recognize me, then you haven't heard from me in a couple of years, and that's because I was effectively run off the internet. You also may have heard that I admitted to lying or that it was proven that I lied. Neither are true. Speaking out against my abuser ruined my life. Here's how we got to that point. During the Me Too movement, I chose to speak out against a former friend who had essayed me. I was young, naive, and could never imagine how this would end up affecting my life. I believed that as long as I told the truth, things would turn out all right. I was very wrong. After my initial statement, describing in detail what happened, my abuser issued a statement in response. She used the sentence, "She never said no to what we chose to do together." While I did say no, in many different ways, this sentence was actually quite validating for me to hear. She clearly didn't understand how consent works, and she admitted that something took place between us. I wish it ended there. I made the mistake of doing an interview with Daily Mail. While being interviewed, they asked for more specific details, like when the incident took place. It'd been around 2 years prior, so I didn't remember the exact date. What I did remember was a picture I took the next day. I went back in my camera roll, found the picture, and told them the day of the incident was the day before. Unfortunately, I was wrong. The picture in my camera roll appeared multiple times. I can't explain why. When the interview came out, her fans went back in her posts to that date to find that we were in different states. If you've never heard my story before, you might at this point wonder, why would that matter? She admitted something between you took place in her statement. I agree, and this is just one of the parts that drives me crazy. After this discovery, she released a second statement, in which she thanks her fans for researching the timeline and analyzing past Instagram posts which reveal my false statements. Unfortunately, this was enough for 99% of her fans to take what she said as truth and deem me a liar. The complete contradiction of her statements meant nothing. The events after this are so much and so overwhelming, it's hard for me to recount. She ended up releasing essentially a diss track about me, with lyrics perpetuating the idea that I lied about all of this for fame. I was a small musician at the time, and after speaking out, gained tens of thousands of followers. While there were some supporters, the majority of the followers were people who actively hated me. I suddenly had thousands of hate accounts dedicated to me, thousands of dislikes and negative comments on all of my music, and completely ridiculous fabricated stories of me being posted online. I really hoped it would die out and people who liked me would stick around and I'd be able to move on with my career, but it never died. Anything I attempted to do was infected with this story. Googling me results in many first-page results calling me a liar. The people who hated me took it upon themselves to ruin every opportunity for me. Partnerships with brands, modeling opportunities, they were all flooded with comments saying I lied about SA. In addition to this, my home address, phone number, and family's phone numbers were all leaked. I became so discouraged with my own music career, I essentially stopped. I started doing SW in an attempt to regain some autonomy, but that was taken from me as well when people who hated me hacked the account. I was just trying to move on. My adult content was being spread and mocked by the people who hated me. Every single one of my social media accounts was hacked, including my email. The only thing they didn't get into was my bank account. I was given the classic fuck the haters advice, but until you're bombarded with the amount that I had to endure, you really can't imagine how it would affect you. It was just so much louder than any amount of support I was receiving. As you can imagine, my mental health was and is majorly affected by this situation. And while I wish I was the type of person with the confidence to say fuck the haters and stick it out, I'm just not. I'm sensitive and not self-confident and never have been. And this made it so much worse. It got to the point where I could no longer put up with the abuse. Holding on to this public image was no longer worth the pain, and I deactivated all of my public accounts. In doing this, I also saw this as completely giving up on being a musician. I couldn't put myself through the public scrutiny anymore. So that's where I've been the past couple of years, in private. It was a huge relief to no longer be bombarded with the amount of hate I was receiving every day, but now I'm stuck with the after effects. I imagine every day the life that I could have lived if this all hadn't happened. Would I be the musician I always wanted to be? It's kept me in a complete freeze state. I won't go into too much detail about how much I've been suffering the past couple of years. Frankly, it's embarrassing. I wish I could move on. But I've never wanted things to be over more than I have now. I've been in partial hospitalization programs and attempted to regain any semblance of confidence and hope for my life, but I can't shake that this is the wrong timeline for me. I didn't do anything wrong. I spoke the truth. If you're familiar with my story, you may have also heard that I admitted to lying, and I can assure you that never happened. There were photoshopped images spread around of a confession that never happened because I have nothing to confess. I never lied. You may have also heard that I accused other celebrities of this, which I can promise you never happened either. There's so many other terrible things that people have made up about me that I'm not going to dissect and defend right now. But I was successfully gaslit into thinking I was a bad person who deserved this. I am so scared to speak out about this again. There's a high possibility that I won't receive any support from this, and people who hate me will target me again, and I go back into hiding. I ask that if you are someone who is under the impression that I lied about this, to please hear me out. Please think about her contradicting statements. Please realize that there's no one on earth who knows what happened that night besides me and her, and even the smallest possibility that I could be telling the truth should be enough for you to not want to risk ruining an innocent person's life in this way. I'm completely exhausted from begging people to believe me for years now. I'm not sure what I'm hoping will come from this. It's gotten to be quite humiliating to beg people to care. But if you haven't heard my story before, thank you for hearing me, and I could really use your help in rewriting the false narrative of who I am and what happened to me.
But that video, of course, confirms nothing except for lies that were spread about Timothy. We still don't know whether that situation is actually true because we have no actual proof that that happened. All we have from it is this picture of Melanie. That's all. That's all we have. We have no biological proof. There were no investigation, no nothing. So whatever happened those nights is solely between Melanie and Timothy. We have no actual confirmation that it happened. And this time in 2024, Melanie did not say anything, did not address anything. All we heard from her was silence. But you know, I would rather believe a potential liar than a potential assaulter, so people just left the situation at that.
If you are defending Melanie Martinez, please watch this. Let's say, just playing the devil's advocate, that Timothy Heller is lying. So we all know what happened a few years ago. She came out with allegations that Melanie Martinez had SA'd her. And the crybabies of the world ruined this girl's life. And I think there was some discrepancies in the story that she told and then a story she told later. Like there were things she said that didn't line up with things she had said prior. So she gets shunned from the internet. People are doxing her, threatening her life. Okay, so that happened, right? We'll just say that she's lying. Okay. So then I think it was yesterday she came back online to kind of tell the story again. Telling this story has ruined her life once already. Why would she come back and lie about it again, tell the story again? She knows how the internet will react. She's not lying. That doesn't make sense. Why would she,
Unfortunately, there's just so much disregard towards SA victims in this world and even in the court system. So some people say, oh, why didn't just Timothy sue Melanie or otherwise? Well, court rarely takes those cases seriously, especially if it's between two women. There's absolutely no chance that they will ever take this case seriously and actually investigate into it, especially the fact that there is no biological proof of it. But the reason I'm bringing this up after the story about the breakup is because Timothy spoke up once again about this whole relationship further drama. And I just want for you to listen to what she has to say.
So I wanted to talk a little about the last post I made and why I made it. I privated it for a little bit yesterday because, as a lot of you know, I hate the narrative that, like, I'm obsessed with her, or I make these things about me, or every chance that I can get attention, I try to get more attention. And I really hate that narrative and never want it to seem that way. The thing is, I never would have commented on this if I wasn't getting the comments that I was, which were hundreds of people saying, now I see what you're saying, now I see that she's a bad person, I'm so sorry. And that's really frustrating. And while I'm, like, grateful for any reason that someone may change their mind about what happened to me, it's frustrating when, like, what it takes is, like, a man talking about something far less serious happening to him. And it's not like he has proof of the things that he's saying either. As far as what happened in that situation, like, I really don't have an opinion on it. I don't have an opinion on if it happened or not. I don't have an opinion on any of that. That's not what I was commenting on. I was commenting on the fact that regardless of if it really happened or not, that people will listen to these far less serious allegations and say, I'm starting to realize she's not a good person, and I'm over here like, hello? So yeah, that's what's frustrating. I may still take that video down, and I might take this one down too, because I really don't like the image of me inserting myself, and I understand how that looks, but at the same time, I'm just really frustrated.
Just imagine trying to get people to just listen to your story for years, being bullied off the internet, doxxed, fired over just speaking up about something that happened to you, allegedly, and nobody trying to even listen to you, or nobody believing you and continuously bullying you online and supporting your alleged assaulter for years, but then immediately turning their back on Melanie because of some stupid relationship drama. Everyone immediately believed Verde, a man who just literally posted an Instagram story where he said that he never cheated on Melanie, and people immediately decided that Melanie is a cheater and believed him with no questions and no proofs. While Timothy Heller, a woman who tried to tell her story to do the exact same thing, was immediately dismissed, ignored, bullied, doxxed off the internet just for speaking up, just because people cannot accept the fact that their favorite artist may be a horrible person. Yet when Verde said that, everyone immediately went with it and said, yes, yeah, Melanie is a cheater, even though Verde never said that. It's just insane. Like, right now in 2025, people immediately believed a a, a possible speculation, a possible assumption, a possibility that Melanie is a cheater, even though nobody said that. Nobody said that she cheated. But if you thought this was wild, you are not ready for what I'm going to say next. Melanie Martinez have been lying to her fans for 2 years. Actually, to everyone, including her fans. So, a few years ago, back in 2023, there was a conflict based around Melanie Martinez merchandise. All the t-shirts, the candles, the dresses, related to her new album Portals that came out the same year. In that line of merch, there are two particular items that caused most of discussions and most of controversy. These two items were candles and K through 12 dress. The thing about candles is that oftentimes they would come in melted or damaged. Each candle costs $75, not including the shipping and additional fees. And if you were to buy the entire collection of candles, it would cost you about a good $1,000. Now imagine you spend this much money on some stupid candles for it to come in melted and you not even able to use it. I would literally crash out. And as you can see, what's so special about those candles is that they come in those like hatched egg design, because it symbolizes the rebirth, which is the entire theme of the album Portals, and each candle has a different color and a different scent related to songs from that album. In fact, those candles are so special and unique that they sell the exact same thing in Poundland in UK for £1. For my Americans, Poundland is the equivalent of Dollar Tree. So they basically sell the exact same looking candle at a dollar store. Same colors, same hatched egg design, and way cheaper than $75.
Melanie Martinez just released candles to go with her latest album, Portals, and I wanted to talk about the price real quick. So, fun fact about me, I actually make candles to go with all of my songs, and I've been doing that since 2021. Honestly, when I saw that she was releasing candles with her songs, I was like, oh my gosh, she's just like me for real. Like, we have the same brain. But then I looked at the price. So, I'm gonna set this down. It was 4.3 ounces of wax in these little hand-painted egg vessels, ceramic, and each one is $75. $75? Okay, yeah. So because I make the candles, like I'm the one making them by hand, like down to the labels and everything, like I know how much it costs to make a candle. And let me just show you. Each one of these is 2 ounces. So about 4 ounces here. So it's still a little less than 4.3 ounces, but like it's by 0.3 ounces. So imagine that is one candle. That is $75. So let's assume, like, let's give her the benefit of the doubt and say that the egg vessels are like $20 each, okay? So each of those little candles cost me $3 to make, so I priced them at $6 because you double for labor. So a 4-ounce candle would, in theory, cost $6 in materials aside from the vessels, and then we're gonna assume the vessels are $20 each, okay? So $26 is the cost to make each candle. So you would double for labor, and then you would price it at $52. That is like being generous to what the materials cost. So you are not just paying for the candles. No, you're paying for the advertisement. You're paying for her name. You're paying for the label to make money. And I just want to be clear about that. Like, I'm not throwing all of this shade at Melanie in particular because I understand she's signed to a label. Like, Warner Music is probably the one pricing things out of her control. At least I'm gonna hope and pray that that's the case. Because if she is the one pricing things like this, like, I would feel so seriously betrayed. I'm not even kidding. I don't understand how much longer things can keep going like this. Like, I don't understand how much longer my favorite artists can become these like greedy, money-centric celebrities that are beyond the art. I don't know, it just feels like a slap in the face to charge something so small and so easy to make $75.
It's just outrageous. And you know, not that I don't like supporting my favorite artists too. Like, I would gladly spend $20 on a band t-shirt. Don't get me wrong. But for $75, I would expect for my candle to be of a better quality at least, so it doesn't come in melted. Also, the same thing goes for the t-shirts, the hoodies, and specifically K through 12 dress that's literally made of 100% polyester, which is basically very cheap plastic. And it's worth just a little of $200? Not to even bring up the fact that people who actually bought the dress say that it's very itchy and it's impossible to wear it. Not even to mention that the skirt is see-through.
If you have sensitive skin like me, it'll be very hard to wear the dress for long periods of time because of how itchy and uncomfortable it is.
Skirt is see-through, so you'll need to buy like a petticoat or underskirt if you don't want to be see-through.
But you can see the sleeves are like ruined, and this one too. And the front, like just the way the mesh is, it's really bad. And I've probably only worn this dress like 15 or so times.
I don't know about you guys, but for a dress that is worth $275, I would expect for it to be at least wearable. Me personally, I'm the type of person that if I can feel the tag on my clothing touch my bag, my entire day is ruined and I have to cut it off because it's so itchy and it's so uncomfortable, and if I don't get it off, I will die. I just cannot imagine how terrible it would be if you were to wear a dress that feels so uncomfortable and itchy all over your skin and it's made of 100% polyester. And so after people have complained about it and made a bunch of videos about it, Melanie Martinez actually responded to this discussion and to a comment made by a fan. In that comment, she said, "I do not make millions. When the label pays money for my videos, that's how much money I go in debt for my art. I'm risking my stability and my ability to pay my bills every time I make a video or any kind of high quality art. You guys have such a skewed perspective. I don't take brand deals, even because it doesn't align with my art. If I didn't care about my audience, I wouldn't be staying up all night, every night, working so hard to create art with substance and constantly have to hear from my team how much of a risk I'm taking." So she's basically saying that she cannot afford her own aesthetic and her own creative vision, and for every music video that she produces, she goes in depth for her record label, and every time she does that, she risks her financial stability, which is the reason why she has such expensive merch. And also that she cares about her fans and works like a dog day and night, apparently. But the thing is, officially on record, she's not on any debt. Like, there's not an official document or confirmation that she is in debt for any company that she's working with. It's not anywhere on the record. Also, at that time, she successfully went on 2 tours, Portal Tour and Trilogy Tour, and I guess she made a lot of money from that. And I can tell by her house and her house tour that she's actually doing very fine financially. To post a 1 minute house tour of her $1 million mansion, huh? I just don't think that people who are in debt do that. I think she was basically lying about it and she was never in debt. And since we already spoke a little bit about Melanie Martinez's merch situation, there is one more thing I have to mention to you. In a line of her official Melanie Martinez merchandise, she has a coloring book focused around her first album called Crybaby and the character who's named Crybaby, who is a little child going through some dark things. Basically, the entire story of the album, actually, contradictory to popular belief, is not based on Melanie's childhood at all. She says she has a great childhood.
Like, my family life's so different than hers, so I had a really great childhood, and like my family's super supportive and always has been, so very different. And in Crybaby story, her mom is an alcoholic and her father is cheating on her mom with someone else.
But this character is going through some very dark things. Like, character is growing up in a very dysfunctional family. There's a lot. There's cheating, there's alcohol, substance addiction. She grows up, she develops crushes, she falls in love with people, and she gets her heart broken, and then she gets kidnapped, and then she goes crazy, and she then kills someone. Like, it's a lot. It's a very detailed and grotesque story told in songs. But Melanie Martinez's childhood, as she says herself, was not that bad. It was actually very good, and she did not grow up in dysfunctional family. I want you to remember that. The trauma that Crybaby character goes through is not her own trauma, okay? I need you to remember that. But okay, the coloring book. The coloring book illustrates the songs, this entire story of Crybaby in it. I will show you the page that stands out the most to people, and it disgusts a lot of people and causes most controversy out of the entire coloring book, with no context whatsoever. Because many people use the context behind this illustration to try and justify the things, the elements in it, to try to explain it. I just want to see how would you react if I showed you this picture with absolutely no context from a mostly unbiased perspective. So here we go. This is the art. The character in the middle is Crybaby, sitting in the bathtub and crying and eating soap. And you know, there's bubbles all around and everything. This picture was actually, it has like an official art version of how exactly you need to color it if you would like. And this version was used for posters and official merchandise for Melanie Martinez. And I have to make a note that the artwork in the coloring book is not made by Melanie Martinez. It's made by a different artist who was a fan of her. But it says on the first page that the work is conceived by Melanie. Melanie asked this artist, who was a fan of her, to do illustrations for her album Crybaby and to make this art and to make it into a coloring book. She basically had to look at this art and request this art and to see it and approve it to sell it to her fans. So what do you think about this picture? Do you see anything weird about it? Do you find it a little weird or unsettling? Because let me tell you, me and multiple other people do. First of all, why is a child making this face that looks oddly familiar to Japanese face called ahigao? It looks weird, it looks kind of sexual. And I know she's really eating a bar of soap, but she doesn't have to make such a face. She could look straight at the viewer while she does it. She could have her eyes closed because she's crying. She doesn't have to have such a face and raised eyebrows. But if this wasn't enough to convince you that it's a little weird, why are her feet looking at us? Why are the dogs barking at us? Why are the feet at the front view? Since she's in the bathtub with bubbles, you could as well just cover her feet with bubbles. Why do you need to show them right in the front view? I believe that this is a very inappropriate drawing of a child character. There are so many ways that you could draw it better. But first, let me tell you the context behind this illustration. So, this is a visual interpretation illustration of a song called Soap. It's about when Crybaby falls in love, she tends to speak too much and she's so afraid to say too much to ruin this relationship and to complain too much. So, she decides to go in the bathtub and eat a bar of soap, specifically wash her mouth out with soap, which is like a little comeback and a little metaphor to if you curse as a child, your parents give you a bar of soap and tell you to wash your mouth out with soap because cursing is bad. The lyrics say, feel it coming out my throat, guess I better wash my mouth out with soap, God I wish I never spoke, now I gotta wash my mouth out with soap. So this illustration is right. It shows Crybaby washing her mouth out with soap. Here's a bar of soap, it's in her mouth, there's bubbles everywhere, she's in a bathtub. She's washing her mouth out with soap because she spoke too much and doesn't want to ruin her relationship. The lyrics correlate with the art, technically, but as an artist, you really don't have to make Crybaby make such a face. As I said, you could make her have her eyes closed because she's crying in the bathtub. You don't have to show her feet at all. There's not a single line in the song that is about feet. Like, not a single line. As an artist myself, I think many artists would agree with me that we do things very intentionally and we know what we're doing and why we're doing and why we make a character look certain way and why we make them have this pose. This way is very sexual and inappropriate for a child character. The character is literally a toddler. And I'm not saying that this is all Melanie's fault, that the artwork looks like this. Again, she didn't draw it. The artist behind these drawings was actually a big fan of Melanie and has been doing artwork of her. And Melanie saw that and she's like, oh, hey, I like your art. Could you please illustrate my newest album? And she liked those illustrations so much, she turned it into a coloring book and into official merch. But I am guessing still she had to approve it. She had to look at it and say, there's nothing wrong with this. We should sell it. We should use it for our official posters. People will totally not get any weird idea about my tour and my music, right? And this should have never been sold and approved to the fans, to her audience, and not even used as tour posters. Like, this is very weird. If I were to see it on the wall on the street, I would get the completely wrong idea about what kind of concert there is. By the way, the artist who made these drawings actually deleted anything related to Melanie Martinez from their Instagram long time ago. So ever since they parted ways, I don't know why they deleted these drawings. I don't know what happened. I don't know why they drew it that way. I don't know if Melanie requested for it to be drawn that way. We don't know what happened. And that's the end of the story. But the reason why I mentioned that Crybaby trauma is not Melanie Martinez trauma, it's just a character, is because overall, the whole Crybaby album era was insanely weird. And there are many things that are controversial if you look back at it. There are many things that happened during that era that you may not even think are possible. So if you're interested to find out what was wrong about this era, I made a video where I deep dive into this whole entire album and I say everything that I found out about it. From the perspective that Melanie's obsession with combining childlike themes and toddlers and child items with dark subjects is very weird. But you know, Melanie Martinez doesn't do that anymore. You know, she does not walk around wearing fetish age-play clothes while portraying a toddler character anymore. She's just a pink weird creature now, walking in the forest. We can clearly say that she grew up from that era. This era is over. There's a new thing that she's doing, but that does not excuse her actions back then. And so after all of this emotional roller coaster, what I have to say is it's so incredibly unfair how the only thing that was convincing enough for Melanie Martinez fans to stop supporting her was the possibility, an assumption, an allegation that Melanie could possibly allegedly be a cheater. That was the only thing that convinced fans to stop supporting Melanie. Not allegations of SA, not years of weird behavior, not lying about debt, but just some stupid relationship drama that already resolved. Yes, Verde literally said on Instagram that he shouldn't have posted this on the story. He didn't want to make a big deal of it. He literally said that he regrets posting the story. He deleted the story. It's gone. The situation is resolved. It does not matter. It's just so frustrating how people immediately believed Verde with no proof, with just a single Instagram story, and immediately decided that Melanie is a cheater, while Timothy Heller has been speaking out for years and tried to tell her story, whether it's true or not. She just tried to get people to listen to her and to tell her story. She just wanted for people to hear her story. She was silenced, doxxed, and bullied immediately without ever giving a chance to listen to her. Not even mention the bullying that continued for years, even after Timothy stopped speaking out about it and was living her own life. She was still bullied and hated all over the internet and in real world. It's just so crazy how Melanie Martinez fans ignored every single bad possible thing about Melanie until now. Until she broke up with her boyfriend and got a new one. Like, are we serious? Are we for real? But I guess, like the artist, like the fan. But of course, that's just my opinion. If you have a different one, you can always express it in my comments section. And if you just want to say something unrelated, you can always do that in my comments section. I love replying to all the comments that you guys text me. I just love to hear your perspective on this. And I will please ask you to subscribe to my channel and my other social media that are linked in description. Guys, we are growing so fast. We just hit 30,000 subscribers. I can't believe it. I am so grateful. This means so much to me. If I were to meet 30,000 people in this room, they would not even fit in here. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you so much for following me. Thank you so much. Like this video or not, I don't really care. And now, bye!